Okay. Anyway, we had to get to know each other from the chat, so you can go and check the chat box. Maybe we cannot do that anymore as we are about to start with our plenary session. So I would like you to welcome you all to the fifth Gen TFL International for the Open. And if you would like to check the first draft of our book of abstracts, you can go check it from the website that I sent you or from the email. I think you received them the latest email. And you can check again, as I said, for those who just logged in or for those who have uh, check. Please check your book of abstracts if you have any problems with typos or mistakes. It's common a lot. I think it's typical now that they have this, but I'm so sorry. Um, Please send us emails so that we can recheck them before the final publication of the book of abstracts. Thank you. Okay, so shall we start now with our plenary? Let's welcome every one. TJ would be the one who will introduce to us our plenary speaker for today.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Nice to be here. Allow me to introduce our plenary speaker. Our speaker considers himself young and dynamic. He is one of the advisors of Gen TFL and a member of several reputable research organizations, namely International Association of Scholarly Publishers, Editors and Reviewers Incorporated, or IASPER, and the Asia Pacific Consortium of Researchers and Educators, or APCOR, International Cross-Cultural Exchange and Professional Development, Thailand, among others. He has presented his papers in different national and international conferences and has won Best Oral Research Presenter in 2017 and in 2021. His scholarly researches are published in different reputable journals, like Journal of Education and Culture Studies, Studies in Social Science of Education and Culture Studies, Studies in Social Science Research, Asian Intellect Research, and Educational Journal, Gen TFL Journal, TESOL, International Journal, and the Asian EFL Journal. A sought-after speaker in different forums organized by different government and private agencies. He accepts consultancy assignments and engages himself in training employees in different Japanese companies. At present, he is the Associate Dean and Research Director of Talisay City College. Ladies and gentlemen, our speaker, Dr. Helmer B. Montejo.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope that you can hear me. Am I audible? Please give me a thumbs up if you can hear my voice. All right, thank you so much. So, good morning once again, and welcome to our conference. This is the 5th International Conference of Gen TEFL, and I would like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me once again to grace the event. And also, I would like to give a shout out to the president of the organization, Sir Andy, for inviting me. So my name is Dr. Helmer B. Montejo, and I am the Associate Dean and Research Director of Talisay City College. I am glad to have you in the audience, and it is really a humbling experience to be virtually discussing with intelligent people like you. I know that this time around we are facing challenges because we're supposed to meet in Bangkok for an actual physical conference, but because of the, the new variant, the Omicron. So that could be the reason why we are canceling the actual event, and instead of having it physical, we're having it online. So without further ado, let me share with you my screen. Am I allowed already to share my screen? Yes? All right. So I guess you are already seeing my screen, correct? Okay. So I would like to take you to the small world of Talisay City College. Talisay City College is actually a local college providing quality education to poor but deserving students. It offers courses, namely Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education, Bachelor in Secondary Education, major in English, Filipino, Mathematics, and Social Studies, Bachelor of Science in Hospitality Management, and Bachelor of Science in Industrial Technology, major in Computer Technology and Electronics Technology. The great challenge that we are facing in the new normal has affected the way we approach the teaching and learning experience in our curricular programs at a speed never thought before. Students and teachers alike are forced to cope with unknown technologies, innovate teaching approaches, and enhance teaching materials within a short period. But the good thing is that the process of transition has been a great learning opportunity to improve our skills regarding online teaching and other means of creative approaches in content and lesson delivery. Thus, my study on realities behind the screen, addressing the immediate and planning for the ultimate. So today's discussion will revolve around the different issues. Number one, I will be discussing the profile of the respondents in terms of program, year level, type of residence, and main support in education. I will also be discussing on the available primary distance learning device the respondents have and the speed of internet accessibility based on PASS.com result. I will also be discussing medium of accessing the primary distance learning materials among the respondents. And I will also discuss the significant relationship between the primary distance learning device and the medium of accessing the primary distance learning materials, as well as the significant relationship between the speed of internet accessibility and the medium of accessing the primary distance learning materials. So for the results and discussion, let me start with the profile of the respondents. So for the profile of the respondents, we have here teacher education with 1,130 respondents or 50.47%. And for industrial technology, we have 616 respondents or 27.51%. And for the hospitality management, we have 477 or 21.31%. And for the diploma in professional education, we have 16 or 0.71%. And for the year level, a lot of first year students responded to the survey and we gathered 1,207 or 53.91%. We also have 654 second year students or 29.21%. And we have 315 students of third year, which is 14.07%. And we also have 63 or 2.81 fourth-year students. And for the respondents, the type of residences that they have answered, most of them, they are living with their parents. So 1,270 or 61.19% responded to the survey. 208 rented, or they are just renting houses, which is 9.29%. 300, they own their own unit, or they own their own house, which is 13.40%. Others are living with relatives, 114 of them, which is 5.09%. And 247 of them are living with their parents, which is 11.03%. And for their main support, most of the respondents are dependent on their parents. 1,406 said that they are dependent on their parents' aid or help, which is 62.80%. And others are also working, so they are dependent on their salary, which is 18.62%. 208 said that they got support from their spouses because they are married, and they are comprising the 9.29% of the total respondents. And another 208 or 9.29% are getting support from their relatives and friends. For the available learning device, 2,222 or 90.31% of the respondents are using smartphones. 186 or 8.31% are using laptops, and 31 or 1.38% don't have any device at all, learning device at all. So this is the sad thing about this research, because even if 31 is not a big number, but it affects students' learning if you don't have any device. According to GOTA 2020, the mandate to combat the coronavirus pandemic, which closes schools across all age groups, makes distance learning more important than ever. As to the internet speed, 1,567 or 69.99% are having a speed of 1 to 5 Mbps, and then 5 to 40 Mbps. Only 441 students are having that, which is 19.70%. And then 188 respondents are having 40 to 100 Mbps, which is 8.40%, I mean. And then 43 respondents are having 100 to 500 Mbps, or 1.92%. According to Wu, in 2006, until broadband access is truly ubiquitous, those who offer online courses and programs will need to make decisions regarding course design and access policies in order to make learning more effective. With regards to the medium of accessing, most of the students are using instant messaging. 1,542 responded that they are using instant messaging or the messenger, which is 68.87%. And then another 1,162 or 51.90% are using the social media. And then 886 or 36.89% are using emails, and 755 or 33.72% are using the television or the web conferencing. Marius in 2016 cited 3 reasons why instant messaging is popular. First, it is the most inexpensive way to communicate. Second, it offers a variety of media transmission. And third, instant messaging supports better group discussion and engagement, which is actually true. This is happening in my own classes as well. Now let's go to the relationship between the available distance learning device and the medium of accessing. The result is it rejected the null hypothesis. Therefore, the interpretation is significant. According to E.D. Claus, there is no surprise that students' use of technology helps them accomplish academic tasks successfully. Now, here in our school, we are actually using a lot of ways in order to reach out to our students. We are using the conventional way. We are using also the synchronous and asynchronous, and we are using different platforms just to cater to the needs. And it depends on the availability of the technology on the part of the learners. So for the internet speed and medium of accessing, it also rejected the null hypothesis, and therefore there is a significant relationship. According to Chan Bulapa and Islam in 2012, internet usage positively affects students' learning if the speed is too slow, making it hard to retrieve and access primary distance learning materials. Students' way of learning will get affected as well. This is really true, especially now that we are too dependent on technology. So for the conclusion, the researcher believes that the mode of learning delivery must not be dependent on online activities alone. The use of internet on students' smartphones must be only limited to the delivery of learning materials to the students by the teachers and submission of students' outputs. Online learning is not guaranteed and is even difficult given the reality and the context from where our major stakeholders, our students, are coming from or are in. With these limitations, teachers are called to be understanding rather than imposing. So my recommendation is called EASE, or Education Access for Students Excellence. We are actually doing a lot of things because, you know, if I'm going to describe to you Talisay City, Talisay City has 22 barangays, and most of the barangays are located in the mountain areas. So you can just imagine the access or the accessibility to internet is very limited because some of them are very remote that it can only be reached through habal-habal, or we call it improvised motorcycle, wherein if you're a teacher, if you're a student, you can only reach the place if you will take the motorcycle. And the place is so remote. I will show you a video later on to show you that it's not really easy. What we are doing here is more of a sacrifice, and at the same time, we are trying our best to really give what is due to our students. So first is we actually designed our learning material. We called it course materials or the modules because the same module is used if students will opt for online learning or if students will opt for the physical material to be distributed or given to them in a specific date and time. So let me first explain to you what is in our modules so that you will understand also from our end why we are adopting so many methods just to reach out to our students. For our module, this is an example of our module. So our module is very comprehensive. Of course, it has its course description, telling us what the subject is all about, what the students are expected to learn, and what is the expectation. So we have here the content and also the learning objectives. Plus, we have the outcome. Now, the delivery of our module is done every 3 weeks. So for example, if we will deliver the first module today, we will count 21 days before we are going to retrieve the first module and deliver the second module. And when it comes to module delivery, it is a bit festive because all of us are involved, not only the non-teaching staff, but also the teachers. Like all of us are divided in different days because the delivery comes in 1 week time. So in a span of 5 days, for example, we are assigned to different days as to when we are going to deliver the module and retrieve the previous module we have delivered to them. So the highlight of our modules, we are actually including the engagement part of our module. This part here, the engagement part. The engagement part puts forth the purpose why our students should undergo the learning experience. This may provide situationer as a way of introducing the content, then pose an essential question out from the focus of the study, which will stimulate your learners to think or our students to think. So this section, the task is to activate the learner's prior knowledge. So we may provide the following pre-assessment tasks. For example, the engagement part may include pictures, song analysis. It may include mind maps, surveys, anticipation reaction guide, background knowledge, probe, beliefs, attitudes, values, inventory, and a lot more. So the purpose of our module in general is to be clear about the purpose of the module. And we are encouraging our teachers or our module writers to always constructively align everything in the module. All right? And we also consider the course content. It should be deep, it should be comprehensive, it should be short, not too lengthy, but it should be impactful. It should contain, the basic or the desired learning competencies that our students are expected to get at the end of the course. And we always avoid cognitive overload because, we are already in a pandemic, and the more we give them a lot of things to read, especially if their accessibility is limited, the more they get stressed out. And we also provide assessment and feedback to our students. Another part of our learning module is the explore part. This section introduces you to the content where learners or students may probably draw out the answer to the essential questions. And here we defined new terminologies, new concepts and ideas, and these concepts and ideas are provided through examples and explanations. So here are some important things which, teachers or module writers should consider in writing to our students learning module. Number one, we need we need to also consider and understand that we are writing for distance students or those who are living in remote areas. We are also writing or making this module, and we must understand and bear in mind that our students have little or no access to resources. And then we are writing this with the consideration of time duration, and we are making sure that this material is enough to consume the intended time frame for an average learner. And also we are writing this and we're making sure that the contents of the module must be sensitive to the culture of the students. So there are a lot of things involved here in the explore area. And by the way, we are only limiting our modules to 10 pages because, you know, it will be very expensive if we go beyond 10. Remember, we are printing this out. Not only that we are sending this online for those who opted online learning, but we are also printing the same material for those who opted for the printed material. So another challenging part of the learning material or the module is the assessment part. And in the assessment part, we are actually having 3 types of assessment. So we have the knowledge building, we also have the critical thinking, and we have the creating. So for the knowledge building, this section covers knowledge and understanding levels. So as a writer, or if you are a writer, you have to design this level with tasks that will allow your students to retrieve and recall the basic facts or relevant information. Aside from that, this section will also provide students the opportunity to demonstrate comprehension through one or more forms of explanation. So we do not limit ourselves in the key terms provided. We think of more appropriate and typical terms or tasks commonly used by the specific professionals or industry workers at work where our students' career path belongs later in life. So another part of the assessment is the critical thinking. For the critical thinking, it is defined by the National Council of Excellence in Critical Thinking. It is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. So in analyzing, the learners will be breaking the materials into its constituent parts and determine how the parts relate to one another and to an overall structure or purpose. In evaluating, the learner will challenge, or the teacher, the writer will challenge the learners in making judgments based on criteria and standards. So we do not limit ourselves in the key terms provided as well. So another part of the assessment, which is the last part actually, is what we call the creating part. In this level of assessment, we will provide our students with an opportunity to put what they learned together, all right, to form a new coherent or functional whole, reorganize elements into a new alternative patterns or structure. So basically, this is our learning material or learning module. And in fact, at the end of the course, we have this academic honesty statement. Why we are doing this? Because we always want to make sure that, you know, there is a feeling of responsibility on the part of the students, that they will not just copy from their classmates or from other sources, but they will do things on their own. Although we cannot promise that they will really do their own thing, but at least, you know, we are trying to come up with an honest statement to make them feel responsible, that it is very important that in doing the course material, they have to accomplish it on their own. Because anyways, we are dealing here with adults, not children. So for the recommendation, we have three. Number one, the adaptation of the learning management system, LMS, that will cater to students who have access to the internet. So as you can see in the result, not everyone has the access to the internet. So here we are actually having an agreement with PLDT. I'm not so sure if you're familiar with that. It's Philippine long distance telecommunications company, and is the largest telco in the country. And they provide us with a very affordable learning management system. And this LMS is actually student friendly or user friendly. And we are using this for students who have the access to the internet. Another one is the provision of internet connection in all strategic campus areas for teachers to use during online classes. Now, I remember before this conference, I was also one of the speakers of GenTEFO in the past, and I was having a problem with my internet connection because during that time also, the Philippines was experiencing a typhoon. So what I did is I just recorded. I wasn't able to deliver my lecture on the scheduled date, but you know, I submitted it right after because I tried to record it. I was having a hard time connecting, but right now I think my connection is a bit stable. We are now having a good connection here in the campus, and thanks to the local government, which supported our request for an internet connection in different strategic areas inside our campus. Right now, I am comfortably doing my discussion here in my office, not in, you know, not in other areas. So another one is the launching of barangay drop-off. So, you know, BDO, barangay drop-off, which will cater students from mountain barangays. So the barangay drop-off is designed because not all students have the access. So what we do here as an institution, we reach out to them. We actually go to different barangays, that's what I have discussed a while ago, and then we give them the learning materials, and then we give them 3 weeks to accomplish. After which, the same team will go back to the barangay and distribute the second or the next learning material and retrieve the previous learning material. So when those retrieved materials reach Talisay City College or our institution, we sort them. And after sorting them out, we distribute them to different teachers so the teachers can check them. So it is actually a burden and an additional, you know, assignment for all of us, but we're doing this for the love of teaching, and of course for encouraging our students that no matter what the situation is, there's always a way of learning. So that is all about my discussion. So I will be sharing with you, you know, a video clip of what is happening in Talisay City College. So let me share with you this is actually my documentation of last year. And I just want you to check on the things that we have been doing here in Talisay City College. You know, from the moment we get the learning material from our printing room, and then to the time when we go to the different barangays here in Talisay. So I am so glad that this video was taken because I was assigned to a mountain barangay. So as you can see, we traveled for almost an hour before reaching the area, before we can deliver the different learning materials to our students. So I hope that you are seeing my screen right now. I will be playing this video right now. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, to all my friends in different cities across the Philippines and around the globe. It's so nice here in the Philippines. I'm here at Talisay City College, and it's really exciting because today is the last day of our Learning Module 1 delivery to the different barangays. Just to give you a background, here in Talisay, we have 22 barangays. Most of them are in the plains and along the shorelines of Talisay City, but some are located in the mountain areas. So I'm excited because I'm assigned at Manipis today. So come, let's enjoy the journey. What do we usually do when we deliver different learning modules to different barangays? First, we need to get the materials. Of course, these are the modules from our printing room. And I'm going to show you around what's inside the printing room. Okay. This is actually our printing room. This is where we store our different learning modules. I'm going to show you some. There. So as soon as we're able to get our learning modules, we will now go to the different barangays and distribute them to different students. Of course, each student has their own needs, and we need to exactly check the subject of each student so that they can get the correct module. Now that we have the materials and the rest, let's go! We are already here in Barangay Manipis, Talisay City, and we are about to distribute the learning modules to students. And this is actually our distribution site. As you can see, we are still observing social distancing, and the team is ready. We are just going to set up the materials, and then soon enough, we are ready to distribute the learning modules. Now that we are done with the are now everything hours before that, we will have our lunch. That's it. Enjoy for the review, and then we'll go back to the meeting. Thank you. All right, so that is all about my presentation. Andy?
So after a very short, very impactful.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Helmer, again for the wonderful presentation. We really see your work there at your place. You're really doing a lot of things. It's really difficult to create materials right now, but that would be a nice session. Perhaps you can join us tomorrow afternoon for the forum. If you could to share with us how materials development could help also other other colleagues around the globe. We have materials development SIGs, but it's not working well. I think we need more materials so that we can post in our websites. Like what we're thinking also with your presentation, as we see, is to create a lot of materials ready available for colleagues to just download and use it for free. That would be really a nice insight from your presentation, Dr. Hilmer. Are there any questions you might ask or you might want to ask Dr. Helmer on his presentation? This is now a question and answer form. So if you have got questions, turn on your mic, or maybe if you're shy, camera shy, you can type it in the chat box so we can go check and read it for Dr. Helmer to answer.
Hello, good morning.
Hello,
Yes, I
good
would just
morning. Yes.
yes, I would just like to ask because there are different ways by which you deliver the learning, right? So is there a difference in terms of the level of performance of the students who are doing it using the LMS and the ones who are just using the paper-based modules?
Actually, I have another research about that. I wish I can present it. There's no difference at all. Students are performing, whether they are majoring in education, industrial technology, HM, or hospitality management. There's no difference at all. I think it can be attributed to the fact that our teachers are really serious in delivering the lessons, whether it is through LMS or whether it is through printed modules. Now, here in Talisay City College, even if students will opt for printed modules, they are still encouraged to join virtual classes. In fact, attendance nowadays, we have realized that even if they cannot, even if their internet connectivity is very limited, but at some point they can join messenger or group chat. So we actually encourage them that even if they are doing answering course materials remotely, they can always ask questions through messenger. So the follow-up is not just every 3 weeks, but it could be on a daily basis, depending on the students' active participation in asking questions and so on. Yeah, so there's no difference at all. Everyone is performing. I would also like to give you a background that most of our students are coming from poor families. The reason why in 2004 the local government of Talisay tried its best to build or to create this institution, because a lot of our students are really poor. So because of poverty, there is always a drive to improve their lives. So that's the reason why even if they are doing the online or the printed modules, answering the printed modules, they're always trying their best. Although we cannot say that they are perfectly doing it, but we can see from our end that our students are really trying their best to improve themselves. Yes. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle, for the question. Are there any other questions you might want to ask? None?
Can I still ask a second question? Because
Yes,
there's
of
something
course.
there that you placed about the anesthesia system, like they have to sign. Okay.
Yeah.
Before, when we had we were forced to go online, we did the same thing in our school, but I thought that it is not really working so well. Because if it is only about signing a document, is there any other area in your system, any part of your system that would actually discourage just simply copying information from other sources and then putting it into their modules?
Okay, now that is very interesting because we have discovered a lot of dishonesties for our students because our teachers are very keen. If you're teaching, don't just check. You really need to check on the veracity of the document submitted to you. So students are very careful because it is already known to them that we are really serious in pointing out who is honest and who is not. Although we don't have a perfect system to identify, but I can tell you, we have already discovered a lot of those students who are not into, who are not honest enough in answering. Well, just because our teachers can, it is easy to discover, especially if you are actually checking it one by one, comparing one answer to another. You can discover that, oh, they're having the same source, or who is the source of this all, right? So we don't have a perfect system, but our teachers are trying their best to actually know who is honest and who is not. And teachers are not failing the administration. We have several reports coming from them, and in fact, they are already being investigated by our prefect of discipline, offices, so that it can be stopped. It can be stopped. Yes, but it's not perfect. But we are trying our best. We are not trained to be detectives, but we are trying our best to really, really make sure that what they are submitting is correct and honestly done. Like, for example, I am teaching research, every time my students will submit an output, I should tell myself that this is not original, so that I can be motivated to check more on the output. Because if I will be persuaded by the cover, by the sentence construction, by the way it is written, I could always say, oh, this could be original. This is something unique. But if I will condition myself like this is not original, even if, they are doing it wholeheartedly, in all honesty, I will have more time to check because I am motivated to check on the authenticity of their document. Yes, that's it.
That would be very interesting topic soon, also with how to check or how to validate students' work and how to check them if it's plagiarized or whatnot. um, very interesting. Okay, are there any?
Can I just add, when it comes to research, I have my own Grammarly account, so I can check, from my end, little by little, I can check. So they know that I really have to check them. And in fact, I give feedbacks from time to time. So when it comes to plagiarism, I can somehow do my assignment very well because, we have our own Grammarly account for this particular purpose.
That is for writing, right? How about, like, for example, exams with multiple choices or true or false? Um, how can we verify that they're the ones answering this and not others doing it for themselves? Like, yeah, it's some kind of a question, but how can we know that it's really them doing this work, not paying others to do it for themselves?
We just had our summative tests for prelims, and it covers module 1 and module 2 because we have 5 modules for all subjects. For every subject we have 5 modules. For module 1 and module 2, it covers prelims, and we just had that 2 weeks ago. And we tried our best. The system is not perfect, but every time we let the students answer their cameras, because everything is given online. Their cameras should be turned on. That's the best thing that we can do. And then we use Google Form, of course. We reshuffle the questions. We cannot identify whether they are doing it seriously or not. But, that is all we can do for now. We need to utilize what we have. We need to optimize the available materials that we have, or the learning system that we have. We can only do so much, but we are trying our best. Although we cannot say that they are really doing, the students are really doing or answering the test honestly, but we have tried our best to really at least, control the dishonesty. Control, yeah. Yes.
That was true. Let me share my experience also with that one. We did also the exams, and then it was found out that even though we said students will turn on their videos while doing the exams, others will just pre-record it and then just play doing them and say, "Oh, so they recorded it. It was not them actually. It's not the on the spot on time video. It was recorded, so we didn't know what they're doing really. With these students really good at technology right now. Like they can fool us or but anyway, at least you said like, yeah, we will try all our best as the new normal says. Okay. Are there any more questions or inputs you might want to share with us? We still have got time. So
Sir Helmer,
Yes.
our institution is facing a challenge on the turning in of papers. There are a lot of students who submit their papers late. I was wondering if you have a system on how to encourage or ensure timely submission, especially for the printed module outputs. Thank you.
They are already aware that modules will be retrieved after 3 weeks. And we always announce it in all platforms, in Facebook and so on. So they are aware. And each class also has their own mayor. We call it class mayor. And their mayor has the access. The mayors, they have the numbers of all their classmates. So they will do a text brigade, or they will send the message to everyone informing them that the deadline is coming, or the deadline is in 2 weeks time or in 1 week's time. So, that is the system that we're adopting. And they are also aware that if the submission is late, like for example, if you opted for printed module and you submitted your module late, automatically you will no longer be part of the BDO or the barangay drop-off, but you will be part of the online. Meaning to say, you need to attend virtual classes because you were late. That's the punishment, or that's the consequence of submitting late outputs. And besides, teachers will also deduct scores if you are late. We deduct scores. We don't just accept it. We accept it, but we deduct points. There should be deductions every time they submit late outputs. That is what we are doing here. And in order to avoid it, our mayors are very active in informing their classmates, and also our own Facebook page. It's very active. We are always posting. Even weeks before the deadline, we are always posting our schedule that this is the day that we're going to, for example, Barangay A to retrieve the modules, to Barangay B and Barangay C. Because, since we are assigned to a certain barangay, we can only do the retrieval once. So if you are late, of course, we will not go back and get your output, because it will be another expense on the government, on the LGU, because we are asking gasoline from LGU, even the snacks of our staff, they're coming from LGU. So we cannot just do that. We cannot just go back and forth just to retrieve modules. There is a specific date, and our students are well aware of that. By the way, we are doing this already for more than a year, so our students are used to it because we are doing this process for more than a year already.
Thank you.
That's really nice when we have got time frame for them to submit and retrieve these modules. But for online classes, during submission times, even for examinations, they will say, there is some errors or technical problems or internet problems. We really cannot verify if these reasons are really true or not. But we still accept them because, well, we don't know really what happened. So we give them extension, like 15 to 30 minutes time frame for submission, just in case there are technical problems. We know that internet here is faster than the Philippines, but there are still some students who would say they're still having problems with internet connection. I at first I doubted it, but then it works. There are some problems, like there are some places in this country also where internet is not really that fast. And sometimes there are some problems also with the internet providers. So yeah, we give time frame also. Setting time would be great.
During the summative tests, it was given online, and there are those who failed to submit on time. So if they failed to submit on time, of course, it can no longer be accepted. So what they will do, they really have to avoid submitting late, outputs. Why? Because this is what will happen. They have to write a letter addressed to the president, and there will be an investigation coming from the dean, from the associate dean, before we can decide really to give him another chance to take the exam. So if I am a student, I would really be very careful in submitting my output on time because, it's like committing a crime if you will submit late because the investigation is in the offing and you need to write letters. You need to justify why you were late, why the internet connection is really slow, and so on. There should be evidences. You need to present pictures. You need to screenshot, everything to prove that you were really having difficulty in connecting. So I will tell you, from my students alone, I only have 2 cases. I have more than 1,000 students here in Talisay City College, and I only have 2 cases of late submission during the online summative exam. I only have 2 cases. Yeah.
That's really time consuming. You really have to defend yourself. It's like in a court. But thank you. Are there any questions or inputs you might want to add? Okay, if none, we're still on time. It's 10:20. We've got still 10 minutes. But if there is none anymore, so thank you very much, Dr. Helmer, for the wonderful talk, Cup and Cup, and we learned a lot of things from your presentation. And thank you very much. Okay, so maybe for this time we give 10 minutes break until 10:30 for the next speaker. Okay, 10 minutes break. Perhaps you might go for your coffee or for toilet break or something else. We'll be back at 10:30. Okay, good morning once again. And now let's move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Ma'am Michelle Galwiski. Um, Mom, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, there we are. There you go. Okay, so could you tell us something about yourself before we start?
Okay. Just a little bit of information about myself. So my name is Michelle Gowiski Asbique, and I'm currently in Macau teaching at the university that's geared towards tourism, tourism education, and I am actually a homeschooling mother. So I think not everybody may be into it, but I have chosen to radically educate my children. And that's the reason why I'm also focusing on this kind of research.
Okay, so Ma'am Michelle's presentation is on promoting deep learning, designing deep learning